A very warm welcome, everybody, to our team representatives press conference ahead of the FIA Formula One Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We're joined this evening by Andy Cowell, closest to me, then Fred Vasseur and Peter Bayer. A very warm welcome to you all. Why don't we start with the man in the middle? Fred, if we come to you first. Now, Charles said yesterday that he's hoping the floor upgrade that you brought to Bahrain last weekend will deliver even more here in Jeddah. From what you've seen in FP1, is that going to be the case?
Yeah, but we are not speaking about seconds, and that it means that we have to always stay calm after the FP1. It's a lot related to the engine mode, the fuel and so, and we know perfectly that the track conditions will be also completely different tonight when it will be perhaps 10 degrees cooler, and it will be another track and another story.
Fred, tell us a little bit more about this car, because we've seen glimpses of pace. Think of Lewis Hamilton's victory in the China sprint and then Charles qualifying in Bahrain last weekend. What is the key to unlocking the potential?
Well, the key, I think, is the same for everybody, perhaps except McLaren, because they are a step ahead, but then it's quite difficult to put everything together, that tires are very sensitive, and as soon as you are doing a mistake, you are doing a step back. And we are in a pack where on the grid, you told me that the quali was the best one for Charles, but if you have a look behind, with 400s more, you are P6 or P7. It means that you have to stay calm, and we have to stay calm on the conclusion. And I think it's true for us, but it's true for everybody. If you have a look on Max, for example, he was flying in Japan, and the weekend after he was struggling. That today the F1, the pack is so tight that for small mistakes you can lose 5 or 6 positions on the grid.
The pack is tight. We're now at race 5. Do you think Ferrari has all the ingredients this year to be successful? The car we've just talked about is quick. Strategically, the team seems on point. You had the fastest pit stop last weekend in Bahrain. If you can pull it all together at the same time, can you win races? Can you even still...
Ingredients are all there, but now it's like cooking. You have to put the ingredient together at the right stage. Honestly, that I don't have the feeling that we extract the best from the car so far, that or perhaps on some occasions, that on some sessions. But I would say that it's true for us, but it's true also for the others. Even McLaren, with the step that they have compared to the rest of the grid, sometimes you have one of their car who is struggling a bit more, and it is like it is that we were speaking before the press conference, but a couple of years ago you were able to go to Q1 with a set of medium and you did one lap and you were in Q2. Today, even the top teams, we have to put some time to set of soft. It means that the field is very, very tight, and that each time that you are doing a mistake, you can lose 5-6 positions, and then the conclusion from the outside is that it's a drama. We are more focused on pure performance, and 500, it's not a drama. That it means that we need to stay calm into the analysis if we want to improve, and I think it was one of the skill of the team last year to be able to capitalize 100 of second by 100 of seconds, and I hope that we'll have the same pass this year.
Quick word on the drivers. You've had this pairing now for quite a few weeks. Are their approaches similar?
Similar. You don't have two drivers with the same approach, that they are competitors, they are both champions. They have their own DNA, their own approach, and they want to get the best. What is positive for us is that they are pushing each other, and we need to get the best from them. But the approach here is the approach of the competitor.
And has Lewis brought a new approach, a new
way of working? He's coming with his own experience, with 20 years of F1, with different teams, with almost 10 years at McLaren, 12 years at Mercedes, and it's always good to have someone joining the team with this kind of experience, with this kind of vision, and to help us to improve that. Again, that we have 4 teams fighting for the win today, perhaps 5 or 6 tomorrow, but for teams with different structure, different people, different management, and at the end we are all able to put the 4 cars in one tent. It means that it's not that someone is right, someone is wrong, and we have to try to understand what the others are doing, and perhaps to try to get the best from them also. And it's we are in this mood today.
All right, Fred, thank you very much for that. I'm sure there'll be some more questions for you in a moment. Andy, let's come to you now. It's been a bit of a roller coaster season, I think, for Aston Martin so far. How do you summarise progress?
I guess we're not happy with the performance of the car. We'd like it to be quicker. We'd like to be picking up points at every single race. The team's very ambitious, but as Fred was talking about, it's a complex business. Lots of interacting systems, from tyres to aero and others. And getting on top of all of that is exceptionally challenging. When you look at the lap time difference across all the teams, it is incredibly close. So there are fine margins. Getting the tyres in exactly the right window and looking after them on both axles around a lap in qualifying is one thing, but then managing that in a race, it's exceptionally difficult. And the world of aerodynamics, at our campus, CFD, wind tunnel, but then you build a full-size car and put it on a track, trying to understand exactly what the load is on both axles around a circuit like Bahrain, which is exceptionally rough, and then coming to a higher speed, smoother circuit like this, and the aero response is different. So you try and measure that, but you're measuring it in a less precise way than you are in a wind tunnel, and just piecing all of these bits together. And as Fred says, it's remarkable how close all the cars are, given the different groups of aerodynamicists and engineers and different management styles for that operation, and different tools, and then a different group of people and different drivers and so on. So it's we're in the last year of these regulations, and it's exceptionally close. And we're just we're a relatively young team, and we're trying to dial in these new tools and trying to understand it, and not being here to survive, but being here to really succeed. And there are many areas we can see that we could, if we could go back to the start of the year, and even with the same car, we could do better at every single event. So that gives us hope that there are relatively easy things we can do to move forwards, but there are some exceptionally complicated things we've got to master as well.
Just apologies if you're picking up some engine noise. It's the end of the Formula 2 qualifying here in Jeddah. Just a couple of minutes to go, and then that will end. But Andy, you mentioned new tools. The new wind tunnel has been on stream for nigh on a month. When are we going to start to see the first fruits of its labour?
Yeah, since Melbourne weekend, the wind tunnel's been in use, and it's being used for both 26 aero development and also 25 aero development. So we've transitioned across to this tunnel, and there's hardware coming through that we will see at the circuit in the coming races, and it's people often talk about how to tell the time when you've got two watches. How do you tell the aero load when there's development work been done on one wind tunnel and then you swap across to the next? They'll never tell you exactly the same, but we are enjoying having this new wind tunnel. We're enjoying seeing that it's opened our eyes to a few characteristics, but then you've got to do work. Yeah, if you've got a new test facility that gives you a clearer view, a more representative view, you've then got to do aero development work. You've got to change the shapes. You've got to make bits, understand, and then make the decision to make full-size parts and bring them to the circuit and measure them in this complex environment. So we're in that process. enjoying the new tool, look forward to making a faster race car with it.
Andy, final one from me. There's been a lot of speculation about your driver lineup going forward. Fernando Alonso said here yesterday that it was a compliment to the team that Max Verstappen is being linked to it. Do you share that view with Fernando, or do you find all this speculation destabilising for the team?
We're incredibly fortunate that we've got two experienced drivers signed for the next 2 years, and that means I can just focus on trying to help improve the business and the art of making a fast race car.
So are you saying there is no room for Max Verstappen in 2026?
I'm saying that my head's full of improving the company so that we can make a fast race car for Lance and Fernando.
Okay, thank you very much. And Peter, thank you for waiting. We'll just come to you now. How do you sum up the opening 4 races of the season so far for Racing Bulls?
So my season started a bit earlier, Tom, at the F1 75 event where we won the prize for the best livery, which we are extremely grateful to our fans. And then, honestly, Laurent and the team, they also managed to unlock some pace in the car, which we have seen in Melbourne, and continuing from there. We had our ups and downs. We had points at hands and took perhaps a bit too much risk on the strategy side. But at the same time, we're also happy with how Isaac is developing as a young driver who did not have a lot of time in an F1 car coming from F2. He has unlocked a lot of potential on track and off track. We're very happy with how he's developing, and also welcoming Liam back to the team has been a pleasant experience ultimately, because we knew him well, we know him well. I had breakfast with him this morning. He's in a good space. He's happy. He's motivated. He's looking forward to go racing, and he also showed some pace last week in Bahrain. Q1, I think he was having sector times ISO to Isaac in sector 1, sector 3. So yeah, we're confident that we'll have a good racing campaign from here.
On the subject of Liam, has the same driver returned to the team that left you at the end of last season, or is he lacking a bit of confidence still?
Confidence, no. Honestly, I think it took a moment for him to digest. First time I saw him when he came to Italy, he looked a bit sad. Honestly, that's how I perceived him when he came in. He was a bit puzzled with everything that happened very quickly. But also at the same time, he knew the people, he knew he knew all the tools, all the setup, and I really felt that very quickly he was returning to be the old Liam. He's a great racer. He's somebody that has great humor, and that's what we see now again.
Okay, look, thanks to all three of you. Let's now bring in the floor. Who's got our first question? Please, yeah, at the front.
Diletta Colombo Automato, a question for Fred. Borchal and Lewis said that during the second stint with the mediums in Bahrain, they felt the car in a very good way. And do you think that you can replicate that and get in that operating window more easily now that you got there?
Yeah. I think it's true that this stint went well for us. Unfortunately, the safety car came also a bit too early. But now the issue or the project is to be much more consistent, than to have a good stint in the race or a good stint in Q3 or Q2. If we want to come back and to fight for the win, we need to have a much more consistent weekend. This one is starting on a good way. But I think it was a good example, or even China, the sprint race and the sprint quali went well. And as you can imagine, we didn't put the car upside down when you won the first one for the day after. I think we are really on the edge. Us, I don't want to speak about the others, but as soon as you are pushing a bit too much, that you pay the price with the tires the corner after, and it's really on the edge. Very difficult to find the right balance, but we are improving in this direction.
Thank you, Fred. Johnny? Yep.
John over from the race. To all of you, we're now 9 months and I think 1 week away from the 26 cars running in Barcelona next year. Based on all the information you've got, discussions, meetings, insight, what's your best guess for what fans can expect from Formula One next year? Will the racing be close? Will there be a good spectacle? And is it going to be exciting?
Fred?
Jonathan, I'm not Madame Irma, that I can't tell you that the race will be closed in 9 months' time or whatever, that we don't know for tonight and for tomorrow. What is true is that when you are at this stage with a new regulation, and we have to keep in mind that it's probably the biggest change of the F1 the last 25 years, because we have a huge change on the engine, huge change on the chassis. We have also big changes on the sporting regs. It means that as a team today, you have to consider all the aspects, and we are taking direction, and perhaps I'm sure that we are not taking all the same direction, and we don't know what will be the outcome in 26. I can't say that the race will be closer than this year. That I think this for sure you have a kind of convergence of performance over the years, and if you have a look on this regulation, that we had the first year that we had huge gap, and today that we are all in 6-7 tenths. You have from P1 to P16, it's a matter of 6-7 tenths. For sure that we need to. I think that we can expect to have bigger gap next year. But it's also the DNA of our sport, and to develop, to try to catch up, yes, this we can't complain. We'll see next year that let's be focused on this season, and we'll see next year for the comment about the race.
Andy, 2026.
Yeah, I think 2026 is exciting for everybody. You know, advanced sustainable fuels, 350 kilowatt electric propulsion, as well as the engine. Different tires, different aero, drag shedding down the straight. There's lots of exciting elements to that. I guess I think Fred's right. You know, the field will open up, and there'll be surprises. There'll be positive surprises and negative surprises. But that kind of that's what makes this sport exciting. You know, if we just stay with the same regulations and just get closer and closer and closer, yeah, okay, all the cars are running nose to tail, but it's great to have some new technology, some new players coming in. You know, seeing Audi coming in. You know, I visited Honda the other week. The development that they're putting into the battery technology, they see that as very road relevant, and I think other manufacturers do. So it's good that the regulations are enticing some manufacturers into the sport, and we're developing new technologies and new ways of running the race cars around the track. So I think it'll be an exciting journey, and there'll be plenty to watch, plenty to talk about, plenty to write about.
Thanks, and Peter, please.
Yeah, I think difficult to add something. Perhaps one element is, if you're looking back at the last big regulation change, you know, there was a lot of fear, speculation, but ultimately the teams, Formula One and the FIA, came together and made it work in an incredible way. And I think that's the responsibility we have towards the fans. So I'm looking very much forward to it.
All right, thanks all. Next, let's go to Ian, please.
Thank you, Tom. Ian Parks, Racing News 365. Question for you, Fred. We've had 4 Grand Prix now with Lewis, or Ferrari's had 4 Grand Prix with Lewis. Are you satisfied with what he has achieved? Could he have done more? And secondly, we're aware of his difficulties that he's having around the car at the minute, trying to adapt to it. He talked yesterday in his press session about having to change his driving style, going back to old habits sometimes that are kicking in. Is there any more that Ferrari can do to get him more comfortable with that car?
It doesn't matter if it's Lewis, Charles, or Carlos last year. We are always trying to do the best for the drivers and to find a good balance for the car for him. And we are pushing on both cars exactly in the same way. I think you were all a bit more enthusiastic the Saturday evening in China, that speaking about the prize-giving ceremony and so that, and we have to calm down a little bit. Now that it's true that we have to. We have a new car with it's not the carryover of the car of last year, and probably that we are struggling a bit more to find the right balance and the right setup. But this is the life of every single team on the grid, that you know that it's sometimes for a matter of 1/10, you can feel that the balance is not the good one at all, or not that bad. That it means that let's be focused on the, I'm speaking for us, let's be focused on the next session, on the next races. The very positive point is that we are working as a team, that the two drivers are pushing on the same direction. We have a good atmosphere in the team, and this will help us to come back.
Thanks, Fred. Next, Adam, please.
Adam Cooper, one question for Fred. I know you've been very keen to talk about V8s and V10s. Last Friday's engine meeting, was it a positive discussion? And secondly, what is Ferrari's position on the longer term?
Summary, it was a positive discussion. If you ask me as a racer, that I would love to have a V12 into the car for the noise or the sound and so and so. Now we have a regulation in place, 2026. We started to speak about 26, and we say, okay, calm down. And now we are speaking about 2031. That it's in 2 minutes. The next question will be about 2040. But that we have to take it seriously. That we open the discussion. That I think it's also probably the first time that we start to speak so early about the next generation, and this is good because we need to know what the others are thinking about this, that we have a different approach, but let's be open for this. I think that it's honestly, it was a very constructive meeting, very positive, because everybody expressed his own opinion, and I think it's the right way to approach it.
Okay, thank you. Next, please.
Think about my friend.
Yeah, Ed.
Ed Straw, the race, one for all three. Please, obviously, it's interesting times with the global economy, things coming out of the US and some flip-flopping on tariffs, that kind of thing. There's some fairly negative predictions about the impact all this uncertainty could have on the global economy. What impact does this kind of thing have on Formula One teams? Obviously, Formula One doesn't exist in a vacuum. Any action you can take, anything you can do in terms of being aware of knock-on effects in all aspects of the business that could affect the team, or do you feel in a fairly good place and you just have to roll with the punches of the global economy?
Peter, why don't we start with you this time?
So for the time being, we are not in FX trading, and we're honestly, for us, until now, no big impact. We have obviously we have US-based sponsors who are analyzing the situation carefully, but we're not expecting any big effects for the time being. Also, because I think there is a huge uncertainty what's actually going to happen, with these taxes, whether they come and to what extent and where. So I think so. Everybody's probably in a holding pattern, but for the time being, no big effect.
Well, as Peter, that for sure we have also a US sponsor, but we have also a lot of US suppliers buying sometimes part of the raw material in China. And for sure this is creating a kind of uncertainty on the future. But we have open discussion with them and to try to anticipate every single issue. But it's true that can be a tricky one.
Yeah, the same as the guys. The global economies and going through a turbulent time. So we're watching, trying to react to what's going on. But I imagine that it will calm down going forwards.
Okay. Thanks all. Where should we go next? Yes, please.
Graham Harris, Motorsport Monday, motorsportweek.com. Question for Fred and maybe the other two as well. Out of last week's meeting about the engines, it was abundantly clear that not all engine developments were at the same stage, and that you may arrive next year with some people perhaps not quite as up to date as they'd like to be, and that there'd be talk about some equalizing formula or a period of time for them to try and get the engines up to competitive mode. What are your viewpoints about that? Andy, you've built engines, and Fred, your company builds them as well.
I was trying to ask to Andy before what was the level of performance of the Honda engine, but he didn't want to reply. That.
But you didn't tell me the level of performance that you're at.
Honestly, on this, I think it's quite impossible to have a precise idea of the level of performance of the car of next year and on the engine, because we are not anymore in the situation to speak just about ICE, that drivability will be key, temperature will be key, that ICE will be key, the battery will be key, and I'm not sure that someone knows about the performance of the others. It means that you can be the king of the place all 25, but the most important is 26.
Andy, please.
Yeah, spot on, Fred. You're well into your power unit development there. I think, as Fred just says, it's very hard to just say it's about crank power or battery or heat rejection. All of these parameters are traded off. There are compromises done in order to come up with the fastest race car. And it's also the case that we're still many months away from the introduction point. So I imagine that every single engineering team is looking at what they've got at the moment, which will exist for everybody, and going, there are all these performance ideas. How do we get those in? And then there'll be a whole load of reliability issues, and how do we solve those? And the supply chain will be screaming because you're asking for both performance and reliability, and you just push, and you push really, really hard, and every single minute of every day counts. And there are a lot of minutes before the first race. So somebody that's in the front at the moment might drop behind, somebody that's behind at the moment might go forwards, but how do you measure it? At the end of the day, it will be Melbourne 26 in qualifying will be the first time where we see all the different car types with the power units in there, with the new aero, with tyres and so on. And that's when, the stopwatch will tell us where everybody's at with their cars.
Okay. Thanks both. Next one, please. Yeah. Where are we going?
Nigel Chu, Sky Sports. Question for Fred. Fred, just going back to what you were saying before about the team and the drivers going in the same direction, is it fair to say that because Charles has been at the team longer in this early part of the season, Lewis is learning more from Charles?
No, that I had a couple of teammates, the two drivers in my life into the team, and you have always a positive collaboration. They always learn from the others, and on both sides. And for sure, Charles is more used to the team, and it's not a secret, and it's quite obvious. But Lewis, with his own experience, is coming also with a huge add value for us and for Charles. Also, he's helping Charles, and I think it's going on both ways, and it's very positive for us.
Thank you, Fred. Next. Yes.
Welcome back to Saudi Arabia. I'm Rawan Hamdan from Asharq Al-Awsat newspaper. My question is about, I have just talked with His Royal Highness Prince Khalid bin Sultan Al-Faisal, the CEO of the Saudi Motorsport Company and the Saudi Motorsport Federation, and he said that we are working with the process of designing the new track in Qiddiya and asking their drivers what is their best circuit that they want to have, and we are working on that to have the best circuit in the whole world. So what do you say about saying goodbye to the fastest track here in Jeddah and maybe going to Qiddiya and Riyadh after 2027? Thank you.
Is that for all three?
Yes, all three.
Okay. Fred, can we start with you, please?
Not always me, that Andy start.
Fred wants you to start, Andy. So, Andy, what?
Go on then, Fred. I'll start. Racing here is amazing. So we I think we all love to come here. We all love to come to all the race circuits. We all love to compete against each other. We're being friendly here, but then we we compete against each other on track. So it's a remarkable circuit. Night races are great. The super fast circuit. It's challenging for the drivers. Yeah. So fast, high speed, and barriers close to the car. It's an exciting event. However, I'm sure the new circuit will be even more exciting. So look forward to that. And it's just it's great to come to Saudi Arabia. It's great to be here with Aramco and all the work that they do within Formula One, and also development work for 2026. I didn't mention that before. You know, Aramco are working hard on an advanced sustainable fuel for 26.
Thank you. Peter, please.
Look, I know His Royal Highness Prince Khalid from my days at the FIA, and I know he's a racer at heart. He's every now and then jumping into a car himself, and I think you see the result here of somebody with a huge passion for the sport, and what has been built here in a short amount of time is fantastic. It's a spectacular circuit, and as Andy said, you know, we're certainly not. We won't be disappointed in Qiddiya from the initial pictures and designs we have seen. So it's amazing to be here, amazing to have this passion for motorsport and all the support we get.
Thank you. And Fred, please.
Not so much to add, that except that I like the race in Jeddah. That you have always exciting races in the past, and it's also the right process to include the drivers into the loop from the beginning and to listen to them. But now we'll see in the future. But I like to come to Jeddah. We had a couple of very exciting races in Jeddah, and it was always good.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Thank you to all three of you. We will leave it there. Best of luck for the rest of the weekend. Thank you very much.
Just for today, I'm not going to comment anything about what he said or to give any opinion. Just we would ask from you to don't forget to like the video, comment it, and subscribe to the channel.